Hi there. Today I'm going to do a quick strip down. Well, no, actually, a full strip down and rebuild for you. Not as much as you've seen. Most of you guys probably won't have taken the deck apart. I'm going to do that for you today, so you can see basically everything that goes into it and how to put it back together again. So without further ado, where should we start? Let's get the tank and everything else off the top there. So to start with, let's get the top fill off. The top fill's got an O-ring in there that seals against the holes in there, and that's the O-ring is encapsulated. It won't fall out under its own steam. So you have to actually physically yank it out to get it out. Right, let's get the drip tip away, and we'll take the top fill section off. It'll probably take the chimney with it. Yeah, it does. There we go. So I took the chimney out with it. That's not a problem, but it's only because it's sealed against that. Whoopsie. There we go. I dropped it. It's gonna go well. It seals against the O-ring in there when the chimney's in there. So get that away. Don't need the chimney right now. All these bits you all know yourselves anyway, so it's not something that I'm not, that you don't already know because you've been doing this for rebuilding, but I'm just taking it to one step further so you can see the whole thing taken completely apart. Right, we're down to the deck now. You guys will see this part like that when you're ready for rebuilding, so let's go one step further. Unscrew the engraved base, put that aside. Now, the way I found easiest to get these apart, you could have this on a mod and pull it off with the 510 thread, but to be honest, I find the easiest way to just put it down on a flat surface and push, and then it just pops it out, so you don't have to mess around too much. Off comes the cup. Calling it the cup, it's not really a cup anymore, it's just a tube with a thread on it. So we put that out of the way, and here's the bit everyone dreads, and I don't know why, because it's not scary at all. This is the airflow ring. And there we go. So you just roll your finger around there, like I said on the tutorial that I did for it, and out comes the wire. And I'll put all this back together again just to show you how straightforward all that is. So we get all that away. Right, now the deck. That's the meaty bit. That's the bit that people don't tend to take apart. So let's get that taken apart now. So you've got two countersunk screws in there. We'll undo both of those. And then the 510 thread portion comes off the bottom of the deck there, so we put that aside there. And then we have basically this whole lot all comes out all in one hit. But that's more than one part again, so there's an insulator there. Let's just push that out. So you've got your 510 pin there, you've got an insulator for your 510 pin, and that's your positive post right there. Additionally to that, there's more bits that can come out, so let's push the rest of these bits out. There's two more insulators there. So this one here is the insulator that goes to the top of the positive post, so that sits around there like that. And that keeps it all spaced off so it doesn't short out. There's very limited tolerance in there, and things could easily short out if you don't do this. If this wasn't designed properly, then it could easily short out. And then that insulator there is the lower positive post insulator, and that spaces it off from the rest of the circuit at the lower end as well. So there you go. So you've got your three insulators there. That's the bit that isolates the positive circuit, and that's really it. Apart from O-rings, I'm not going to take O-rings off. You figure O-rings out for yourselves. Oh, and grub screws. Yeah, there's grub screws in there as well. You have to worry about those. Grub screws are just grub screws. So, okay, let's rebuild it. So to start with, you take the centre, this one here, this insulator in the middle here. That has got I don't know if you see, it's got a recess cut in one side and not on the other. It's flat on one side and a recess on the other. You take the recess side and you put it onto the positive post, and that slides all the way down there like that. And then equally you've got a little on the top insulator, you've got a little upstand on one side which pokes through the deck, and on the other side It's really hard and fiddly to work with because it's such a small part. It's completely flat. So you want to have the side that's got the upstand on, you want the flat side to flat side, so you put that on there like that. And then you just pop that onto the deck. Like that. And you can see now when the deck pops through, let's see if I can get a bit of, there we go, that's where my focus is. You can see that the insulator is in there and it sits up in between the positive post and the deck. Okay, so then we put the lower, well, the 510 insulator we call it, put that on. And then it's just put the 510 thread back on, and any way around you want to put it. I mean, yeah, any way around you want to put that, it's no problem. Put these two screws back in. This is going to run away, isn't it? No, it's worked. Okay, there we go. And get the other one. Come on. There we go. You do these up pretty tight. There we go. And then the last part is the 510 pin. Just pop that in. It'll take a few turns before it hits the O-ring, and then once it hits the O-ring, just give it a couple of extra turns just to see where you want to have it. And that's the deck rebuild. It's pretty straightforward, wasn't it, everyone? Yeah? No? Straightforward? Okay. Right, let's rebuild this lot then. This is all covered in the tutorial for when I did the for the airflow ring spring, but I'll do this again anyway, so it's all in one place as well. There is a groove. If you can pick that out, there's a groove in the AFC just there, only on one side. That's the side where the wire needs to pick up from. It sits in that groove. Equally, on the other half, on the deck housing, this is called the deck housing, there's a groove here where the wire goes in on this side as well. So you can see that just there, that's pretty clear. So we need to make sure the two line up. So we put that part on only one way around. And then we've got to find the right spot to put it in. And there's 3 slots pitched at 90 degrees to each other around the periphery. So, and that where there's not one, there's a gap in the AFC where there isn't one. That's where you want the wire to sit, ideally. Because if you try to put this wire in any other location, there's a chance it could pop out the other side and stab you. You don't want to do that. So let's put it in there. So what we do is we line the, if you can pick that out, there you go, you can see the slot in the deck housing poking through the slot in the AFC. That's where we're going to put the wire in. So let's reach over and grab that. Should have put this on the other side. There we go. So we pop that in there, like that. Just leave that rested in that slot like that. And then I tend to use a little Allen key or something small and pokey. I'll just push that in. And that's it. Done. Dusted. There you go. Right. So now that's back in. We put the deck back in. So we need the cup. The cup. Now I'll just go through this quickly. The deck is sealed from the outside world in a number of places, obviously through O-rings. Now the way juice is prevented from getting down into the 510 is via a couple of O-rings. So you've got one sat in here. Now that's a slightly oversized fit, so if it does come out, it will look like it won't want to go back in, but it does. Now I'm going to demonstrate this real quick. Let's see if I can poke this one out for you. Alright, let's see if it works on this surface. I'm not sure if it will. I've not tried this before. Basically, you put the O-ring down on a flat surface, preferably a hard surface. This is a spongy thing. And then you put the cup over the top, and then you just sort of roll it onto position like that. And then, there you go, it does work. And then it just pops in. Very easy. Okay, so then we put that back in there. Oh, incidentally, the additional place where it's sealing, you've got another seal in here. So the combination of that seal inside the deck housing, see the little black fella in there, and then the seal inside here, the combination of those two seals will prevent juice from getting to the 510, And if you do have an issue in that area and it's starting to leak out, I would look in that area to see if there's a O-ring that's been damaged or caught, nicked or whatever. You know, that's likely to be the cause. Right, and the deck back in. Oh, additionally, there's another O-ring here, but that's mostly just to segregate the airflow circuit from anything else. And some say, although I don't subscribe to it, that lining up this deck makes a difference, because you've got the hole through the middle. Intentionally, I've put this big waste all the way around the outside of the deck, so it makes no difference where you put the where you plug your deck back in relation to where the airflow slots are on the deck housing. But some like to insist that it does make a difference, so hell, you know, you go for it. You believe what you fancy. Personally, I've done some tests and I've asked some others, and most of, well, all have said no difference. So anyway, push that back in there and get the engraved base. Screw that back on. Now this is going to have a bit of resistance. Now the O-ring on this cup, on the underside of this cup, it has an interference with the rest of the layout of the parts, so that when you have fitted all this up and you put the engraved base on, it creates a resistance, which is that O-ring forcing its way, trying to force its way out. Obviously it won't come out because we're trying to screw this all in, but in order to make this seal properly, it will stop right there, and you see there's a gap there, just in that gap there, just where the at the bottom of, well, where it's in between the AFC and the base. But that can be closed out, and you need to close that out because that's what makes the proper seal. So that still has another quarter to a half turn in it before it will seal properly. So make sure that's on there good and tight. Not bastard tight, just tight, okay? You don't want to go too tight. Well, you can't really, because it hits the bottom and it won't go any further, and that's the end of it. Right, let's build the rest of it up. So let's put that aside for a minute. Don't need that right now, and we'll do the tank now. Coincidentally, the threads on these are all the same. So in real terms, you can thread that tank ring either way up as you please. It makes no difference. Likewise, the same with this threaded part here, the top fill part. Same difference. That can screw on either side of the clear window or the steel window if you're using that. So give that a bit of a crank. Incidentally, the polycarbonate is bloody tough. Okay, it's not so easy to break these threads. It really isn't. A couple of people have dropped their roses, and they have basically they've jumped threads. Rather than breaking the threads off, the metal workers jumped a thread on one side, and it's actually really easy to pop it back together again. You just sort of apply. Well, I put it in. I've got a little plastic vise that I clamp it up in, and it just pops it back together again. And the polycarbonate window is really tough. Very difficult to break. So just bear that in mind. You don't have to worry too much about these threads. They're pretty good. Right, we kind of need the chimney. So best way really, we could put the chimney inside the rest of the tank. Okay. You could screw it down, but then you've got an extra resistance when you're screwing it. It's better to do it this way, and then introduce the chimney after the event. So screw the deck into place. Screw the tank into place. Christ, I'm going to need subtitles here, aren't I? And then screw on the top fill. Now the top fill, I've engineered that so that there is stupidly close tolerance on there. Okay. And it's designed so that it will seal just before you hit bottom. So as soon as that gap disappears, it's sealed, and it seals just about, I don't know, about a 32th of a turn. It's really the tiniest of amounts, and they're all engineered exactly the same way, and they'll all behave exactly the same way. So you'll have no problems there. You just don't need to go and crank it on super tight, because then you might have a bit of a problem getting it off. But it just, as soon as the gap's gone, that's it. It's sealed. Okay. All right. So now we all know about this. The drip tip has got two little lugs on it, and the two lugs will fit into. Let's get that. So there we go. Basically, look like a screwdriver cut, really. And you can use a screwdriver if you really wanted to. It's a little bit Heath Robinson, but hell, you could do that if you're caught short when you're out in the field and happen to have a screwdriver handy. Well, like everyone has a screwdriver in their pocket, you know. Oh. Right, okay, well, that just pops into there and then keys into those two lugs. and then just screw that down. And lo and behold, we've got a rose again, everybody. There we go. I haven't got much else to say, really. If I can think of anything else, I'll put it in the notes, but that's really it. It's pretty straightforward. I'll catch you next time, guys.